Hello. Assalamu alaikum, folks. This is Azzuddin Hawam, the founder of Sadaa-Echoes. I'm so honored today to be with my friend Dalton, who is the director of the Adult Education Center, to explore experiences around adult learning, addressing stigma, uncovering what people may not know, and celebrating resilience and the transformative power of education. Kim and I both come from the education world, and it is truly to have Kim join us today through the Unbounded story series with Sadaa-Echoes. For those who are just starting to follow us, Sadaa-Echoes is a storytelling space rooted in listening, memory, and relationship. Through the Unbounded story series, we bring people together to share their stories, fostering humanization and building community. Very welcome here, Kim.
Thank you.
Kim, to get us started, and we're honored to be with you in the Adult Education Center today. Could you please tell us who you are, your role in the Adult Education Center, and who benefits from the learning environment here?
Sure. So thanks for having me. This is a real honor, and it's always a passion of mine to talk about adult education, so I really appreciate the opportunity. I am the director of adult education for the Adult Education Center in Seven Oaks School Division. We have two centers in Seven Oaks, so the Adult Learning Center and the Adult Education Center. So I am at this location, which is on Main Street. A director in adult ed, we don't like adults don't want to have a principal. So we have directors, but in the same idea, it is that like teacher lead, the educational lead in the building. And so that's like my formal on paper role, but I think really the role of the work I do in adult education here is to create a learning environment for adult learners, so 19 and over, that is welcoming, that is understanding, that is removing barriers for people who our previous education system did not work for. We talk a lot about our roles, whether it's in the director or teacher or a support staff position in adult ed, as first unlearning. So oftentimes we have to, that's one of the most important things we do, is kind of teach people how to let us in, all those things we maybe have to let go of to be able to learn again. So that's a big part of it. In terms of the people who come to us who benefit from adult learning, there's different groups of people that come in. So there's the students who are returning to school. So maybe they've been away for many years. I've had students who've been out of school for 30 years or more. We have parents often who are coming back once their kids are in school full time, and they're, September hits and their kids are starting, and then they're at home and they realize, like, I actually have some time and space maybe to focus on myself again and want to get back into working on that goal. We have retired folks who are coming back, and they've left their career after many, many years and are working towards like an unfinished goal. So the goal might be grade 12, but not necessarily in the same way that they want to do anything with it after. It's more kind of personal satisfaction. And then we have more and more, we have younger learners. So I'd say when I started in adult education 25 years ago, the average age was about 35. And I'd say our biggest group right now is 21, 22. So it's a lot of younger people coming back, not having been out of school maybe for that long, but still needing to kind of finish that up or kind of work towards graduation. We have a growing number of newcomers. So some have only been in Canada for weeks or months, and some have been here for a few years, and now this is their kind of time they've settled, and they're working often unemployed or underemployed, and they're looking at getting back into like a preferred field or a better field. So some of that is English language learning, some of that is work focus, some of it is like post-secondary kind of recognition and wanting to get kind of credentialed here, and they need to start with us, or they're being told that they have to start with us. That's a thing. And workers changing careers. So somebody who is just looking, we have a lot of people that come back and they just can't get a promotion without their grade 12, or they've always wanted to do something else and it's time, and they have the maybe a bit more financial stability to be able to think about post-secondary at a different time in their life. So lots of different groups of people. About half of our students are working towards graduation and half are upgrading. So they've already graduated, not necessarily from here in Canada or in Manitoba, but also from around the world. And I would just generally say, like, whatever the reason that brought them here, is like every one of our students is incredibly courageous, very committed, and like the biggest goal is that when they're done with us, they are also proud of themselves, right? I don't like to say I'm proud of you. I want them to be able to say I'm proud of myself, right? Because it's not really about what I think.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's who we are.
That's beautiful, Kim. Yeah. And I think I know we've talked about this in the past, and I've been here before, and I got to meet your students and your staff here, and it's a wonderful place and a wonderful space. Unbounded Stories looks for those stories that are unheard, the stories that maybe the people out there may not know about. And I think we want to center those stories of community and people who may have not had a traditional road to education or through other education careers, and now they're coming back and looking at their options and seeing what works for them. And I think coming here is the place for them to be. What are some of the misconceptions or stigmas that adult learners face, and how does the Adult Education Center here work towards challenging these stigmas and transforming them?
I think generally, I think the misconceptions start like externally with a lot of the average Manitoban probably doesn't know a lot about adult ed or the adult education system. So we have a job to do from our end in terms of educating people better. We're starting to talk about that more as a group of people, because I think when we start talking more about what we do, it invites people back in and gets rid of some of that, like knowledge is power, right? And it opens doors. So that's a piece. But in terms of students coming back, I think the misconceptions that they feel are put on them, or like the messages that they might have of themselves or get from other people, is that idea that they've failed, right? That they're coming back because they failed. They weren't smart enough, or they weren't good at school, or the ownership of that initial maybe school challenge was with them, which is usually not the case. I think it's that system responsibility, right? And I think we in adult education, as part of that larger system, have an obligation to do the work to ensure that when they leave us, the message is not that they are failures. It was that something didn't work for many, many reasons, for different people, but that it was not centered in them. Another one often is that they deserve less. So the disparities in funding for adult education versus the K-12 system are incredible. And yes, there are differences in the needs of younger students and older students. However, I think the maybe unintentional message that gets sent to adult educators and adult students is that they aren't as important, or their needs aren't as important, or they don't have the same needs. And they don't have necessarily all the same needs, but it doesn't mean they don't have as many needs or as important needs that take resources. So, when some adult learning centers struggle to keep staff, or good staff, or quality staff, or like not just teaching staff, like the support staff, the guidance staff, the counseling staff, those things, those wraparound kind of holistic supports are often not available in adult education. We are lucky here at the Adult Education Center being part of a school division, which is not always the case. A lot of adult learning centers are standalone, like nonprofit organizations. So we have a lot of benefit from being part of the school division, where we can access a lot of those supports and resources. So as a school, we have privilege that way, but that is used directly to support our students, which is reflective in the number of students we get every year and our graduation rates and our retention rates, because when you put those things in place, students do better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And how do you, maybe you can talk to us about how do you, as a center, work with the school division, and how do you work with other schools to collaborate and to bring people into your system and to also educate them about what you do here and so on? How do you bridge that gap, if you will?
Well, and we're in an interesting role because we're part of the school division. So in my role, I spend a lot of time working with the high school administration teams, the support teams, talking about what we do. Like I get out there and I talk with people and I let them know these are the courses we offer, these are the students we have, these are the requirements we have and the things we have to think about, but also when a student, like how we have conversations with students at different ages and stages that change that idea from you're failing or you're not doing well, so you have to go to adult ed, versus, hey, did you know that if this is a route that might be better for you based on whatever's happening now or going on for you, or just because it's better for you, that this is an opportunity and that we are just a continuation of that learning and not a you tried, you failed, and now you have to start again, that it's a system that can work together continuously and as seamlessly as possible. So that's a big piece. But we are also, as an adult learning center, we don't have a catchment. So we have students coming from, anywhere in the province technically, but mostly obviously around the city of Winnipeg, just outside the boundaries sometimes. So we then also have this flip side where we are often collaborating with other adult learning centers, other high schools, or have people coming in from other, like they went to a different school division for their last high school. So we may be connecting or maybe transferring things over. We work with the province really closely. In terms of working with our division for supports, I think it is about inviting in. So connecting with, like Sipin Oaks has amazing resources out there for students, and sometimes it's just knowing who's out there and who I can give a call to, and you invite them in, whether it's for like a consultation, whether it's for just thinking together, whether it's for a recommendation, or like as you've come in before for like workshops, or for student presentations, or for those kind of things. Our students eat those up, like lunch hour workshops and classroom presentations. They love having people come in and talk about that, especially people when they can see themselves reflected in the people doing the presentations. I think that's really important. So it's inviting in. Some of that is having to know what's out there though, which can be tricky. So that's again part of my role, is to stay on top of that. So there is a lot of, in adult ed, you have to kind of be aware of what's going on in the provincial system as well, not just in your division, because so much of what's happening provincially in adult education affects us specifically. And then so it's staying on top of kind of it's like dancing in two worlds. So yeah, but it makes it fun.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I appreciate the notion of humanizing the system and making sure the system is created and can be reimagined for people who come in it. You know, as somebody who came to Canada and struggled in the education system, I am always thankful to walk into spaces where I see people's stories are shared or people's voices are being heard. And in fact, the stories of the communities that are in these places are shaping these places and reshaping them. And it's an ongoing journey with the people who come in there. Can you tell us a little bit about what you offer? I mean, you offer, courses and so on, but what in terms of opportunities, especially for those people who are coming to you, choosing to come to you, and how can these opportunities, and pathways help personal growth and empower these folks who come into your system?
So one of the things that we have that the Adult Learning Center doesn't, and like we have different things that we can offer, and we work very closely together to try to make sure someone lands in the best place possible. But one of the things that we often start with that we have is a foundations program. So we are really lucky that in adult ed in the province, there's kind of two parts to it. There's the literacy part of it and the adult learning center or the credited system part of it. And there are two different kind of funding structures, and there are two different programming structures. We have both in our school. Now, students don't know that they're separate and all that. They just see a seamless kind of path, which is work we've done to do that intentionally. So we start at stage 2 literacy numeracy, which is somewhere around about a grade 5. So if someone is coming to us and they have been out of school for a while, or they left school early, we have that ability to support them to feel confident and able to do accredited course. And that is game changing for a lot of students. Those ones are very kind of work at your own pace, start where you need to start, take the time you need. Some people are in and out very fast, and some people are there for quite a while, and there is no right or wrong way to do that, which is a nice soft place to land when you come in. And it's continuous intake throughout the year. So if we have spots, we put people in. My teachers are brilliant, and they've even taken students like the first week of June, because they say yes, but they might not come back in September if we tell them to wait. So they start them, so at least they've come in and they know what it looks like and feels like and sounds like and all that stuff, and are maybe more comfortable to come back. And then we have the accredited programs. So we do some grade 10, but mostly grade 11 and 12 accredited courses. And our focus is on providing lots and lots of different options for students, as many as we can, but also aligning it to what they might need for post-secondary. So we have all the grade 12 Englishes, all the math like pre-cal, applied, essential. We have all the sciences, so physics, chemistry, biology, but then also really rich humanities courses. We do law, psychology, global issues. We have computers, Indigenous studies. We are, I believe, the first school in the city. We're the first school in Seven Oaks for sure. And from our understanding, might be the first school in the city to offer the new treaty education course at 40S level. And so those ones are always really, really popular choices for our students. So we're really proud to offer that and excited. It's been super fun. And then we have a partnership with Seven Oaks Settlement Services. So we don't specifically offer EAL programming, but we invite them into our school. So they offer EAL classes at our school 2 times a week, as well as EAL supported childcare assistant course. We obviously have the upgrading if you've already graduated, and the post-secondary advisement. We have a newer partnership with the CMHA, Canadian Mental Health Association, their wellness skills support. So we have 2 half-day counselors every week in our school, which has been amazing, and that's been fabulous. And they also run like workshops and that for students. We have flexibility in our scheduling, which is huge. So morning, afternoon, and evening options for students. So if you're working full time, or if you have kids in school, or whatever that looks like, we can build a schedule that works for almost everybody. And then we also have a newer partnership that just started this year, and we're looking forward to continuing it with the University of Manitoba's occupational therapy program. So this year we had 8 weeks of 2 occupational therapy students doing a practicum here, who were here helping us to be better at what we do. So they spent 8 weeks working with teachers and staff, not one-on-one with students, but to make us better and to make it a more inclusive, open, safe, appropriate environment for learners, which was a fabulous experience and will continue to be when hopefully we get some more next year.
Beautiful. Thank you, Kim, so much. What's a profound place to be in. Could you, just to end the conversation, is there a story that comes to mind of somebody that came here and worked with you, and their stories, are always with you, kind of thing? And we meet so many stories in our work.
Yes.
But because of Unbounded stories, we're always focusing on those stories and trying to bring them up. If you have any stories to share with us, or bits of those stories, we'd love to create a space for them.
I think 2 that come to mind is, there's a million stories at every graduation ceremony. So every student that walks across the stage is a fantastic story. If you have never been to an adult ed grad, they are the funnest ones to go to. So we have to make time and come. It is a thing, and it is a fabulous celebration. Last year, Seven Oaks School Division did an Indigenous excellence evening where they had awards for students who were just doing amazing work in their communities. And we had 2 students from AEC recognized. And I actually, because we did up their bios with them, and we were working with them on the work that they were doing with some local communities in terms of organizations volunteering and the cultural work they were doing in school and participating in the courses they were taking. And in the end, they walked across the stage, we got all the pictures, and we realized afterwards we forgot to announce that it was also a mother and daughter, which was, for us, that's quite normal. We have lots of family members like that, lots of aunties and nephews and mothers and daughters and siblings, and intergenerational, it just happens here. And so it was kind of a funny story to think back of, because for us it was just like another thing. And then everybody's like, why didn't you say they were like mother and daughter? I was like, oh right, that doesn't happen everywhere. Right? So that was really a special story that comes to mind. Another one, just quickly, is we actually have 2 students who have already graduated, not with us previously to come to us, but had struggled entering the post-secondary world in terms of getting into healthcare because of some learning differences that they have diagnosed, and getting accommodations and appropriate accommodations. And they have come to us, and I hope they are proud of themselves because they have blown it out of the water this year. And I think about the success the 2 of them have been able to find here with just a little kind of understanding and patience, and them being patient with us as we try things out, and my teachers being patient and collaborative and trying new things. And so those 2 students are actually coming on Monday, this coming Monday, to do a panel presentation in front of all the division's learning support teachers to talk about their experiences. And to what I think is really beautiful about it is that because they are adults, they can speak some of the things that young kids can't. And so to have that opportunity to hear and learn from someone who has been through an experience that some of us will never know about personally. So really, really proud of that. And I will probably remember those 2 for a long time.
Beautiful stories. Thank you so much, Kim. And I knew about your center way before, like from my community, before the education world I come from. A lot of my community members who are newcomers studied here, came here to finish their schooling, and they've talked really highly about the space and the environment. So thank you for sharing those things and telling us about those stories of resiliency and hope. Folks, we want to thank you. Kim, thank you for being with us today. We want people who are listening to share their stories with us. If you can join us at Sadaa-Echoes for more episodes, we thank you for being with us, and shukran until next story. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, Kim.